World War II was the deadliest conflict in human history. Among the many great figures involved, Joseph Stalin's name has always been controversial. This Soviet dictator was known for his brutality, suspicion, and willingness to sacrifice millions of his people. Yet, despite all this, Stalin successfully led his country to victory against the Nazi German war machine. How did this authoritarian leader manage to turn the tide from a devastating defeat at the start of the war to a power that led the Soviet Union to Berlin? This is Stalin's secret strategy behind the Soviet victory. When Hitler launched Operation Barbarossa in June 1941, Stalin was completely unprepared. Thousands of German tanks, planes, and millions of troops pounded the Soviet border. Stalin was shocked and even disappeared from public view for several days. However, out of this devastation emerged Stalin's first strategy: defense at all costs. Stalin ordered the Soviet troops not to retreat even if it meant paying in blood. He issued Order Number 227, famously known as No Step Back, a harsh command that instilled both fear and discipline in the Soviet military. Stalin's next secret strategy was total mobilization. He moved massive industries to the east, far from the reach of the German Luftwaffe. Thousands of factories were relocated to the Urals and Siberia, forming a virtually unstoppable Soviet war machine. Furthermore, Stalin utilized propaganda. He instilled the idea that this was not just an ideological war, but the Great Patriotic War, a struggle to defend the homeland from colonialism. In this way, millions of people rallied, not for Stalin, but for their homeland. Stalin understood. Nationalism was more effective than communist ideology alone. Stalin's third strategy was to use nature as an ally. Stalin recognized that the Russian winter was an invincible natural weapon. When German troops were trapped outside Moscow in the winter of 1941, Stalin ordered a massive counterattack. With the Germans frozen and running low on supplies, Soviet soldiers, accustomed to extreme weather, put up fierce resistance. For the first time, the Nazis were forced to retreat. The world saw that the Wehrmacht was not invincible. Beyond military might, Stalin also waged a secret war: intelligence and de-information. Through espionage networks, the Soviets managed to learn about many of Germany's plans. Even before the Battle of Stalingrad, Soviet agents provided vital information about Wehrmacht strategy. Stalin also frequently employed misdirection tactics, spreading false rumors, secretly moving troops, and creating the illusion of Soviet weakness, while in fact setting a deadly trap. The pinnacle of Stalin's strategy was evident in the Battle of Stalingrad in 1942 to 1943. Stalin ordered his troops to desperately defend the city that bore his name. He knew that losing Stalingrad would mean losing his prestige. Here, Stalin implemented a double encirclement strategy. While German troops were busy fighting inside the city, the Red Army launched an encircling attack from two sides. Hundreds of thousands of German soldiers were trapped with no way out. This was the turning point of the war on the Eastern Front, a monumental victory that boosted Soviet morale and shattered Hitler's aura of invincibility. Another of Stalin's secret strategies was leveraging international alliances. Despite ideological opposition, Stalin accepted aid from the United States and Britain through the Lend-Lease Act. Trucks, tanks, fuel, and even food from the West were a major logistical aid to the Soviet Union. Stalin may never have admitted it openly, but he knew that without this support, the war against the Nazis would have been much more difficult. Ultimately, Stalin's strategies, from industrial mobilization and exploiting the weather to nationalist propaganda and intelligence to brutal military tactics, led the Soviet Union to victory. However, that victory came at a terrible cost: the lives of more than 20 million Soviet citizens. The Soviet victory was not only the result of Stalin's ingenuity, but also the boundless sacrifice of his people. And that is the greatest secret behind the Soviet victory in World War II.